Welcome back. It's Destination Yuri, reaching out, streaming is the word they use nowadays, Kieran, to the world, on the web, for goodness sake. It's a long way from the webs and whatever that I was raised, as they say. Kieran Rafferty's with me from the St. Joseph's Conference of the St. Vincent de Paul Society of Newry. Welcome.
How are you?
Welcome. It's
Thank you
good to
very
see you.
much. Thank you.
Now, you have been a busy time, the Christmas, of course, the work of the St. Vincent's over Christmas, meeting the need of folk out there who are in some kind of difficulty. Was it a big need this year you had to meet?
Yes, well, I think the public are probably particularly aware of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul at Christmas time because we have our major fundraiser, which is the annual Christmas collection. Yes. And at Christmas, obviously, as everybody knows, there are more demands on households. There are demands on families who have to produce for children and all of those things. So the Society and the conferences locally, of which there are 3 in the urban Newry area. There's St. Bridget's, which deals with the meadow side of the town, Drummalane, which is just outside the parish but deals with that side of the town, and then our own conference, which is based in Mill Street, which deals with the major part of the urban area.
The Drummalane people, would the sort of conference be based with the Dominicans? Would the Dominican collection have gone to the Drummalane?
It does. Well, the Dominican actually goes to St. Bridget's.
St. Bridget's.
Yeah, the way it's done, St. Bridget's and the Dominican collection go to the St. Bridget's conference, and the collection taken up in both the Cathedral and in St. Mary's goes to our conference. And the public, as ever, respond very generously. And we're still collating the final figures, because what tends to happen, Rowan, is that we get donations on the day, but then it's supplemented by cheques and donations, which maybe come through right as late as now into the middle of January. So we could approximate that between the collection and the donations, we might have received approximately £25,000. But our expenditure for the month of December alone, I think, would be about 27,000. So that sort of is an indication of the scale. So if you ask, is there demand? Yes. I mean, primarily, the assistance that we provide would be cash grants to households. And as you're aware, and you've been a great promoter of the oil appeal, because in December and during the winter months, we do have a lot of demand for oil. And I know that you've been very generous and shown initiative in asking people to pledge their oil allowances to the Society, which has been a great help.
That's a simple enough thing, because in all honesty, I get very cold if I don't have heat in my house. So I know the need of heat. If there's a wee woman, an old lady sitting there. I was saying once upon a time, I'd love to do this for old people. And one day I opened my eyes and blinked and said, I am old, I'm 70. So that penny dropped. But I would hate to be cold. But at the same time, the Queen, bless her, sends me the cheque of £200 every December. In order to make sure that I'm warm. Now, in all honesty, I'm glad she does that, but I don't really need it. And there are many, many people like me.
And several people like yourself have then pledged that money to the conference.
Well, this is a good idea.
So we put it back in circulation.
It's the thing to do there. It's an ongoing commitment. Christmas we talk about. I suppose you're different as a society, because you're out there inviting people to come to you. If you have problems, come to us. Bring us your burdens. That's what you're doing.
Well, we would be particularly careful, Rowan, in that we don't act on third-party referrals. So if you come to the conference and say, I think you need to assist a certain person, we can't work on that, because we have to respect that person's dignity and their independence. So in the first instance, people write to us, they approach us discreetly. We have a shop. People sometimes leave requests there. They leave them in our boxes in the churches. Sometimes they go through the parochial house. We also have a helpline. And the helpline number is published in the parish bulletin.
In the bulletin.
And people can approach us there. They also possibly know individual members of the conferences, so they approach the members, and then we deal with it discreetly and confidentially.
It's a big step for a person to send that letter and to say, look, help me, I'm broke, and my children are cold.
It's a big step. Now, and you have to respect, somebody's circumstances that has led them to asking for help, which is not easy.
No. And in that asking, they can be assured, totally assured, that the approach has been made to a group of people whose ethos it is not to judge, whose ethos it is to look kindly on elements of need within their lives.
Yes, and that was the mission of the founder of the Society, Frederick Ozanam. The Society began in Paris, and Ozanam was a student. He later became a distinguished academic at the Sorbonne.
A young man.
He was a very young man.
When he founded this society?
He gathered 7 students together because they were challenged by the immense poverty that they saw in Paris, and he wanted to do something about it. And from that, the organisation grew, and in fact, it's quite remarkable, but the organisation in Newry celebrated its 150th anniversary 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
It's a long, long tradition here
that's
in the town.
That's been week in and week out for 150 years.
For 150 years, yeah.
That's a huge commitment.
It's a great tradition, yeah.
And it's a great answer to it. People will very often, with some justification, say, what is the church? What is the Catholic Church doing? Is it all bad news? Of course, that's a great answer to it. These are ordinary Catholic lay people in the town of Newry, every week committing for 150 years. It's a big, big commitment.
It's been a great tradition, and has been very well supported in that time, as the figures would show for the most recent collection at Christmas. And we have about 25 members in our conference, and they're very active people.
And you would have another 25 somewhere else?
Well, the other conferences have their own personnel. Yeah. They deal with the applications. Yeah. Probably we are one of the larger conferences in the north.
Yes.
And we're well organised. Several years ago, the conference received a bequest from a lady, and we used that bequest to purchase the property in Mill Street.
Wonderful.
We developed Mill Street, so we have the shop, and above it we have a very successful drop-in centre.
Yes.
You may know Mario there.
I know him well.
And Mario provides a great service. And
fine quality of soup to
It's open all day, excellent food, which Mario makes fresh on the premises, and people come. Some people just want company, some people wish to be fed, some people want to be in because it's warm, he has TV, he has the papers, and it's a pleasant place to spend a while.
When you sit down there, there's an immediate camaraderie. People talk to each other.
Yes.
And they're shouting from one table to the other table to that table. There's something going on.
There's something going on, yeah.
It's a great thing to
and
see.
it's a great antidote to loneliness.
Oh, yeah, of course. And it's people will look forward to going there at lunchtime.
They do. It's a social centre.
A social centre for them. And then, of course, the shop down below.
The shop down below, and the shop has been very successful. Obviously, it provides goods at affordable prices, and it also generates an income for the society to the extent that then we have no administrative costs thrown out of the monies donated at the collection.
Yeah, of course.
So I know it's a concern for people with charities that the administrative budgets can be considerable, but there is a regional office of the Society of St Vincent de Paul. There's a national office, which is a very large organisation throughout Ireland.
Yes.
So it does have a backup, and the regional office provides support and guidance, and it lobbies government.
Yeah.
And it draws attention to issues which they think legislators need to be aware of.
And there are, you from your professional role in life as a lawyer, you would know the importance of government intervention in matters of need. Well, it doesn't always happen.
Absolutely, and the society does not believe it can provide all the answers. Only government can do that.
Yeah.
And the society also seeks to campaign for a form of social justice, that there be fairness.
Social justice is the core, it's the diamond at the heart of the mine, so to speak. If you've got social justice, you have a communal willingness to take on the problem and deal with it.
Yes.
People, if it could be formalized that people paid X amount extra in tax every month or every week, there's a vast swathe of people out there who would do that in order to make the thing easier.
I think most people aspire to some form of fairness, and they want to address the inequities and to see that there be a safety net in society.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, you're the safety net through Vincent. So all of you guys and girls are doing what you're doing. And the process of someone, they make the application. Do you consider the application as a committee?
Yeah, the conference meets each Monday.
Yeah.
Every Monday for about 51 weeks.
I should tell you, my father used to be in it a long, long time ago.
Your father was
I have memories of him
you
know.
Yeah, used to meet in the old upper sacristy in the cathedral.
Around the back,
At that time, yeah. And the conference meets, the applications are brought forward, there's a discussion, some members may know some of the personal circumstances, and then we make a decision.
And no judgment. I keep coming back to the no judgment because, and it's totally confidential in there.
It's confidential. I mean, none of our benefactors know where the money goes to, so there's a large amount of trust involved.
Yes.
And they have to trust that the conference does its work and does it properly. But what people obviously do.
Is there the possibility, before we talk about the kind of situations you discovered at Christmas, is there the possibility that, to put it at its lowest point, that you can in some way be used, that people can begin to depend upon you, and that the malady is not going away because they know, well, I get enough from this.
Well, there's always a risk of that, Ron, but the society wants to encourage self-sufficiency. And what we aim is to help people at a difficult time in their lives, but to get them through that. And we don't want to have dependence, because that's not good for anybody, that they simply think the society will always solve their problems. So we want to get people beyond their problems to a better place. And largely that happens. Yeah,
Justin Welby was saying that about the the food banks, the Archbishop of Canterbury. He was simply saying that the need is there. And Cameron was saying, well, no, maybe the existence of the food banks is creating the demand for them. But it's something that I love the notion of taking people beyond their problems, because that links into other areas of caring, fiscal caring in the community, like credit union, that people can actually re-establish themselves.
Yes.
And goodness gracious, if Sean Quinn can re-establish himself, most people in ordinary circumstances will have no problem doing that. But it's a matter of application, and it's a matter of people necessarily perhaps being led, being shown the roadmap.
Often some direction has to be shown.
And can you do that in Vincent's?
Well, we do. We also would guide people to other agencies who could help them on a path. If it's a debt issue, we try to get them elsewhere. We're not all experts in everything.
No.
So we know our limitations, but we also know where help might be obtained. And we're happy to guide people to that and try to work with them to get beyond their problems.
Christmas, what was Christmas like with you?
Well, Christmas is our busiest time of the year, Roland.
What kind of things did you see when you went out there?
Well, firstly, we respond to what people ask for, and the burdens on families. You know, so people are worried when they have young families about providing for their children for Christmas. So in recent years, the Christmas charity lunch, which is organised by the Newry Chamber, provides us with a base, because we get a lot of toys. Now, those toys don't go exclusively to the society. They're distributed to Daisy Hill Children's Ward. The Salvation Army also receive a portion of them. And I think about 8 conferences of St Vincent de Paul in this area receive toys in Warren Point, Restrever, Bestbrook and others, and they distribute them. So we deal with toys. Obviously, people have financial demands. We help with that, and that's probably what people most associate us with. And then obviously in recent years, oil has become a big part of our expenditure. So those are the major demands that we would see during December. In December, the volume certainly increases, because we start our meetings at 7 instead of 7:30, because we like to get the members out and making their calls at a reasonable time. It's not prudent to go too late to people.
Yeah, of course. The kind of breakdown of the people you visit, are our new European neighbours, our new friends in community here, Poland, Latvia, Hungary, whatever, are they finding it especially difficult, and do they form a significant part of of the agenda of need?
Well, several years ago, we identified as a conference that the first need the new arrivals had was the need to speak the language role. So we began language classes in Ozanam House, I think 10 years ago. It began with 4 Brazilians who were working in the meat factory, and it wasn't that they were financially in need, but they simply had not a word of English.
Yeah.
And those classes continue on Tuesday night and on Thursday night. Still, and in fact at their peak, probably 5 years ago, we had Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, and we had an overflow situation. Yeah. So we've noticed that probably the number of new arrivals has tailed off. No doubt as our economy had worsened from 2008 onwards, but we still run the language classes. So the first need we identified is if people are to integrate, the need to be able to communicate.
Of course.
And we have a band of volunteers who actually are not members of the conference, yes, but who came, said, look, I'd like to be involved with teaching the language. And the late Michael Quinn had been very instrumental in driving that along. Yeah. Michael had done tremendous work and had put a team of people around him, and in tribute to Michael, that continues. Yeah. So there's a language need. Equally, when people who are new arrivals find themselves in financial adversity, they do know to contact the society, and we deal with them as we would anybody else. We make no distinction.
Of course, of course. Yeah. Indeed you don't. Why do you do it?
Why do we do it?
How long have you been doing it?
I've been a member this year, 30 years, I think.
30 years.
Yeah.
It's an impressive and wonderful record. But I mean, you, again, you know, I dare say, and you will say, you get more out of it than you give.
Yeah, the first thing I said when I became the president of the conference in March last year was that I come because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I come because I like the company of the people who are members of the conference. And I think if you're around the members, there are many reasons. But I think, firstly, people have to enjoy coming to the meeting. They've got to be comfortable with the company of the other members. And then they have to have an appetite to do what can be difficult for some people, which is to go out into houses, meet people in their own homes and listen to what are personal difficulties.
Yeah.
But it is, for the members, something that they feel is a two-way process. They get a lot back out of it, or they wouldn't continue to do it.
There's a kind of growing St. Vincent de Paulism, if you like, if I may use that word or phrase, in the heart of Francis the Good, the Pope, because he's constantly talking about that message of love and reaching out. And
yes.
And that's a huge benefit within Catholicism at the moment.
Absolutely. I think Francis very much reflects that message, and he's put it at the core of what he's about as Pope. Yeah.
I see the adverts about St. Vincent's on the buses and other places. The largest charity in Northern Ireland.
I think it may be the largest charity on the island of Ireland.
Possibly,
I think possibly there's a total of 12,000 members throughout Ireland. And obviously it has long and deep roots throughout the country because it predates the famine.
My goodness.
So it's here a long time.
Yes, yeah. I thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Ron, for having me.
Amazing work that you do and continue to do. And wish you well in 2015.
Thank you very much, Ron. Thank you.
Go well. There you are. Kieran Rafferty of the St. Joseph's Conference of the St. Vincent de Paul Society in Newry.
Destination Newry.